Okay, folks, I think I will call the meeting to order. As required under the Planning Act, a public meeting is being held prior to the committee making a decision on these applications. And to start things off, a couple of administrative things. We live stream the meeting on our YouTube channel, and the recording is available after the meeting. Because meetings are accessible to the public in all of these ways, video or audio recording by members of the public is not permitted in council chambers. This is to ensure that all attendees and those who come to make a deputation, please feel at ease. So, thank you for your cooperation, and I would advise there's a sign-in sheet at the back there. If you haven't signed in, we would appreciate that if you would do that. And all right, then moving right along from there, I'm going to introduce the Committee of Adjustment. And where do we start here? We've got Ms. Richardson, we've got Ms. Archer, Mr. Finn, Mr. Strangway, and I'm Mr. Robertson. And staff here, we have the Director of Development Services, Ms. Berry. We have the Development Supervisor, Ms. Evans. And we have Mr. Shahid and Mr. Okawat, they're Planner 2s. And we also have today, sort of a new entity, we've got two summer student planners, and they are Miss Nana Stirliu and Miss Lou. Welcome. All right, we've also got the Chief Building Official here, Miss Murchison, and thank you very much. We always appreciate you attending the meetings, Suzanne. Thank you. All right, and via Zoom, we've got Ms. Rosellis, our Manager of Planning, and our, maybe the most important person here, our Recording Secretary, Ms. Crockford. All right. Now, the first order of business, and I'll read the motion, and it's the appointment of our Secretary-Treasurer, that Leah Berry, Director of Development Services with the City of Kawartha Lakes, be appointed as Acting Secretary-Treasurer for the City of Kawartha Lakes Committee of Adjustment meeting of August the 28th, 2025. So can I get a motion to that effect? Mr. Strangway, Ms. Richardson. All right, all those in favor? And that carries. Thank you. And welcome, Ms. Berry. All righty. Okay, are there any comments or questions with respect to the printed agenda? Being none, can I get a motion on the floor for that? All right, Ms. Archer, Mr. Finn, seconded by Mr. Finn. Any further comments or questions with respect to the printed agenda? Being none, all those in favor? And that carries. Thank you. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? All right, being none, the minutes of the previous meeting. Are there any comments or questions with respect to those minutes? Being none, can I get a motion for that now? Ms. Archer, Mr. Finnegan, all right. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor? And that carries, thank you. All right. All right, for the benefit of everyone that's here and for those online, this committee will hear comments, gather information, and may ask questions to clarify statements made. The committee may ask and answer questions or redirect questions to the appropriate person. Please note that any information or comments given to the committee during this meeting, those are considered evidence. We will first hear from staff and then the applicant or his or her agent. We will then hear from any person in support of or from those who have questions, concerns, or are opposed to the application. Finally, the applicant or his or her agent will have an opportunity to respond to any of the statements made to the committee. And I would advise that if you wish to speak to the application, if you're sitting here, please raise your hand and I will ask you to come forward to the podium. And there's a button there. If you push that, you'll see a red light appear, and that allows us to hear you speaking on the microphone there. So if you would just keep that in mind, if you're going to speak to your application, you come up. And if you're online, once we see your picture on the screen, or at least hear your voice, sometimes we don't get a picture, I would ask that you give us your name so we'll know who that we're talking to. and then we can go from there. I would advise that we afford everyone approximately 10 minutes to make their presentation. I don't think we've ever had it, well, maybe we have had a couple go 10 minutes, but usually most folks are much shorter than that. But if you find that you can't possibly get all that information in within the 10 minutes, then I will ask the committee if they will afford you a couple of more minutes to finish off. But I don't know that we've ever, well, maybe we have had that happen as well. Every so often we get people that are fairly, what's the word, windy? I don't know. But anyway, just so folks are aware of that. All right. Thank you all for that. And moving right along, we're dealing with deferred application, file number D20-2025-065, and this is 344 to 348 Kent Street West, former town of Lindsay. Mr. Shahid, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Third slide. So the subject property currently contains several structures, all of which are to be demolished. Sorry, just give us a second here. We're having trouble with the slides.
Charlotte, is there something you do on your screen?
Now your laser isn't working. Oh, there it goes. Glitches happen.
Perfect, okay. So I'll restart then. The subject property currently contains several structures, all of which are to be demolished. The proposal seeks to facilitate the construction of 2 commercial buildings, which includes a drive-through quick service restaurant and a drive-through automotive lube shop. Access will be from Kent Street West, and the area surrounding the property is primarily characterized by commercial uses. Many of the surrounding lands contain commercial plazas, malls, restaurants, and drive-throughs, as well as some institutional uses. The proposed buildings and their intended uses are similar to and align with the surrounding areas and lands along Kent Street West. The property is also currently undergoing and subject to a site plan control application for this same proposal. Relief is requested from the minimum required parking spaces, minimum width for an accessible parking space, landscape buffer requirements, front yard setback, and the interior side yard setback. I will split up the reliefs here by speaking about parking, then landscape buffers, and then finally the yard setbacks. So as there are 2 uses being proposed, the zoning bylaw prescribes separate parking rates for each. Sufficient parking is proposed for the drive-through automotive lube shop, and relief is required for the restaurant as 22 spaces are proposed and 27 spaces are required under the zoning bylaw. So in this case, the proposed reduction is considered reasonable given the site's urban context, potential availability of shared or nearby parking, and opportunities for pedestrian or transit access. The proposed parking supply is anticipated to sufficiently meet operational needs while supporting efficient land use and site design. Now looking at the second relief. So the zoning bylaw requires a minimum width of 3.6 meters for accessibility parking spaces. And there are 2 accessibility parking spaces proposed, one of which is 2.7 meters in width. So the intent here is to ensure sufficient room for persons with disabilities to safely enter and exit vehicles. Under the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, or the AODA, 2 accessible parking spaces are prescribed. One which is type A, which is 3.4 meters, and there's type B, which is minimum 2.4 meters. The subject space in question is 2.7 meters in width, which adheres with type B parking accessibility requirements and fulfills the intent of the zoning bylaw by providing adequate accessibility. In regards to landscape buffers, section 5.14 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum landscape buffer based on the subject applicable zone and abutting zones. The subject property is zoned general commercial and abuts a community facility zone at its rear lot line, as well as commercial zones at its east and west side lot lines. So despite these minor reductions, the proposal maintains an opaque wooden fence along the rear yard and provides functional landscape strips on both side yards. Additionally, the abutting property to the north is heavily treed along the shared lot line, and given the primarily commercial context of the area, the reduced buffers are considered appropriate. In terms of yard setbacks, relief is required from the front yard setback of the proposed restaurant and side yard setback of the proposed automotive lube shop. The proposed reduction to the front yard setback is not significant, as the site design incorporates elements that enhance traffic circulation and safety. And these features help manage on-site vehicle movement and mitigate potential impacts of the reduced setback, thereby maintaining the overall functionality and compatibility of the site with its surroundings. And the proposed side yard will include landscaping to prevent any potential visual impact from the proposed building. As such, there will be no negative impacts, or there's no negative impacts anticipated on neighboring uses. And generally, interior side yards may be reduced in urban areas to support compact, efficient land use, promote infill development, and reinforce a continuous urban streetscape. Moving on to comments, we received comments after the writing of the report from the Building Division and the Development Engineering Division. Both stated they had no concerns. All in all, staff acknowledges the application meets all 4 tests of a minor variance and respectfully recommends approval of the application, subject to the conditions identified. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shahid. Are there questions of the planner? Ms. Richardson, go ahead.
Through you, other than the width, what is the difference between the type A and type B driveway, accessible driveway?
Through you, Mr. Chair, as far as I read under the Act, the main difference is pretty much just the width. The length stays the same. I can look into the AODA and see what the other major difference is, but as far as I saw, it's just the width. I'll take a look now and see what I can find for why is the reason of the difference in width. Through you, Mr. Chair, Supervisor just looked into it for me, and essentially the wider width is accessible for a van. That's why it takes into account that.
So through you,
Senator, can I get you to pull that mic down a little bit, please? Thank you.
so they are required to have the one type A, and they could have 2 type As, or they, I guess my question is, could they have 2 type Bs, and are they required to have at least 1 type A?
Through you, Mr. Chair, so the zoning bylaw requires them to have 2 spaces. Right now, they're proposing 1 type A and 1 type B. The AODA actually requires them to have 1 of each, so they're complying with what the AODA requires.
And just for my own curiosity, what is the width of a regular vehicular space?
Through you, Mr. Chair, just give me a second. Let me pull up the zoning bylaw and see what the requirement is. Through you, Mr. Chair, so the regular requirement for a parking space width under the zoning bylaw is 2.75 meters.
I just have one other question. Is there any consideration being given to install traffic lights somewhere along there? Because we certainly need one besides that Angeline and the farther one up Kent Street.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think that's really outside the scope of this minor variance. So that's not really something I would be able to comment on.
Further questions of the planner? Yes, Ms. Archer, go ahead.
I just question if 24 months is long enough to get all this done. If that's the requirement, I think. Would 36 be better?
It's a question of Mr. Shahid.
Sorry.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I mean, generally we go with 24 months, and the applicant has received a copy of this report and they are aware that it's 24 months. They haven't said anything about it, so we can extend to 36 months if that's what committee desires, but they haven't said anything.
Yeah, I was going to suggest if the applicant does speak to it, perhaps that's a good question at that point in time. Anything further from committee? All right, being none. Is the applicant here or is the applicant online wishing to speak to the application? Yes, sir, and your name is? Your name, please?
My name is Aditya Srinivas. I'm a planner at EcoView Consulting and the agent on this application.
Right, go ahead, sir.
I don't really have anything else to add. I think Mr. Shahid covered everything. Happy to answer any questions that you guys may have. I did hear that you were wondering if it should be 36 months or 24 months. I think 24 months should be okay, should be appropriate. I believe the applicant is trying to start the construction next summer, so I think it should be okay.
All right. Are there any questions of the deputy? All right, thank you, sir. We appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone here online wishing to speak in support of this application, in support of the application? Anyone here or online wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Opposition to the application? Being none, committee. Mr. Strangway.
As recommended by staff.
Second. Mr. Finn. Any further comments or questions with respect to the motion on the floor? Being none, all those in favor? And that carries. Your application is approved, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we're now dealing with file number D20-2025-041, and this is 102 Lindsay Street, former village of Finland Falls. And we have one of our student planners. Go ahead, please. Oh, do we not have a student?
No, to the chair, you're correct. I'm just going to speak to the matter of the sign first before Violetta gets into the application. So I'll just bring to the attention of the committee that the part of our requirements under the Planning Act for notice weren't exactly met to the letter. So for Section 45 applications, we have a few different options for public notice. We can send notices out in the mail to everybody who is within 60 meters of a property, as well as post a sign on the property. We also do have the option of posting in the newspaper. At the City of Kawartha Lakes, we opt to do the mail and the sign. And the sign for this particular file was not posted the specified 10 days before the meeting. It was posted 8 days before the meeting. The intent of the sign is to inform individuals who are passing by the property of the application who otherwise might not receive something in the mail, depending on where they live. The sign was posted. So, and we have proof of that it was posted for 8 days, which includes a weekend, which you would expect the most foot traffic to pass by. As you'll hear, this file is a restaurant, actually. So people walking by the restaurant would most likely happen more often on the weekend, and the sign was up over the weekend. Notice was also circulated via mail, and we do go above and beyond Planning Act requirements by posting on the website as well. So in my opinion, I feel the intent of the requirements of the Planning Act were met. I've also spoken with the director on this, who agrees, and I feel comfortable moving forward with this file today, but I will leave it with the committee to discuss if you have any questions as well.
All right, thank you, Ms. Evans. Well said. Director, are you comfortable with proceeding? Committee, comments or questions with respect to what Ms. Evans had to say? Can I see a show of hands as to willing to proceed? All right, we shall proceed then. Go ahead, Ms. Mahastirliut, please.
Thank you. The subject property is designated urban settlement under the City of Kawartha Lakes official plan and commercial under the Fenelon Falls secondary plan. The property is zoned District Commercial C2 zone under the Village of Fenelon Falls zoning bylaw. The subject property is within an established commercial area located on the western side of the former Village of Fenelon Falls. The property is rectangular in shape and currently contains a one-story restaurant constructed in 1965, according to the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation. The purpose of the application is to recognize an existing covered front patio and planter boxes at the front of the restaurant. The covered patio provides outdoor dining space for customers of the restaurant. It is located at the front of the building, which is ideal for accessibility for both staff and customers. Additionally, the planter boxes improve the overall aesthetic of the property while also providing a physical buffer between the patio and the sidewalk. Relief is sought from Section 4.10.3 CI of the zoning bylaw, which requires a 12-meter minimum front yard setback. The existing front yard setback is 3.03 meters from the covered patio and 0.90 meters from the planter boxes. Section 4.10.3E of the zoning bylaw requires a 22-meter minimum setback from the street center line. The existing street center line setback is 13.56 meters from the covered patio and 11.46 meters from the planter boxes. The intent of the minimum front yard setback is to ensure adequate spatial separation between built form and the traveled portion of the street as to not impede traffic, snow removal, and streetscaping maintenance, as well as to maintain features such as sightlines and the character of the streetscape. The intent of the street center line setback is to ensure that built form will be adequately set back from it in the event the municipality decides to take a road widening. The red arrows on the right photo approximately depict which structures relate to which setbacks. It is not anticipated that the covered patio and planter boxes will impact the function of the road right-of-way and do not currently encroach onto or obstruct the sidewalk, allowing pedestrians to use the sidewalk freely. The planter boxes act as a buffer between the sidewalk and the covered patio to create separation between public and private areas, as well as to avoid passerbys from entering into the restaurant area. Furthermore, the road allowance for Lindsay Street is approximately 20 meters wide. If the municipality were to widen Lindsay Street at some point in the future, the patio and planter boxes could be removed or reconfigured to facilitate the widening. Additionally, there is sufficient parking in the side and backyard of the lot, and automobile access to the property is not affected or hindered by the patio and planter boxes. After writing the report, the Kawartha Region Conservation Authority has provided they have no comments or concerns with the approval of the minor variance and that a permit will be required for the patio and the planter boxes. No comments of concern were raised by any of the other circulated agencies, and no comments were received from members of the public. Based on the contents of the report, staff acknowledges the application meets all four tests of a minor variance and respectfully recommends approval of the application, subject to the conditions identified within the report. Thank you.
Well done, and thank you. All right, are there any questions of our student planner? Ms. Archer? Now it gets tough.
Through you, please, the planner. I see on page 3, the purpose of the one of these minimum front yard setback is to maintain features such as sight lines. I was concerned about the planter boxes being in the sight line, but now I'm more concerned about the open signs being there. Are they allowed to be that close to the road?
Sorry, sir, you'll get your turn, thank you.
Through the chair, there is a sign bylaw, which applies to the signs placed. And that's not really related to, like, that would not require a minor variance in this case. And the planter boxes are too low to, like, get in the way of a sight line, so.
Further questions of the, yes, Mr. Strangway, go ahead.
You alluded to snow removal. Is there sufficient space there for snow removal, or is there a need to move those planter boxes in the winter?
Through the chair, we believe there is enough room for enough snow removal between the sidewalk and the space between the sidewalk and the planter boxes.
Thank you very much.
Further from the committee? All right. Is the applicant here? Do you wish to speak to it, sir? All right.
Hello? Yeah. Mayu, this is Mayu Balasubramaniam. I'm the applicant. Yeah, the owner is here. If the open sign need to be removed, it could be removed. That's what the owner is saying. Also, the covered patio, he says a lot of seniors come to his restaurant during summer. So if it starts raining and they cannot move quickly inside, so that's the reason he want to keep that covered patio.
Now, don't go away for a minute. There may be other questions of the applicant. All right, being none, thank you, sir. We appreciate your time. All right, is there anyone here online wishing to speak in support of this application, in support of the application? Anyone here online wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Opposition to the application? I am advised none, committee. Where are we? Mr. Strangway?
As recommended by staff.
And seconded by Ms. Richardson. All right. Any further comments or questions with respect to the motion on the floor? Ms. Archer.
I'm still a little concerned about those open signs. Is there some way we can flag it that they can check with whoever's in charge of the signs?
I'm going to ask Ms. Evans to respond to that.
Through the chair, I might ask the chief building official. I believe building manages the sign bylaw, so maybe she can weigh in.
Yes, go ahead. Ms. Murchison.
Through the chair to the committee member. Yes, these would be governed by the city's sign bylaw. They would require permits to be placed, so I'm going to hazard a guess that they've been installed without a permit because of their location. So they can be removed to remediate that, or someone can come in and apply. If they are seeking relief, there is a mechanism to do a variance to a sign bylaw, but we do take into account sightlines, etc., when we're doing those variances.
So someone from your department will be checking into this?
Through the chair, I'll flag it. Normally, the process is it's a written complaint through MLEL, the municipal law. We don't enforce the bylaw. We administer the bylaw. So if we need enforcement, we would need to direct it to a different department. But, I mean, we've heard from the applicant that if they're a problem, they'll take them down. So I think they're getting a message here.
All right. We have a motion on the floor. Are any further comments or questions with respect to that motion? All those in favor? And that carries. Your application is approved, sir. All right, moving right along. We're dealing with file number D20-2025-067. And this is Queen Street North, former village of Omemee. Mr. Shahid, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The subject property is located in a well-established residential community with access from Queen Street North. Based on data from the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, or MPAC, the area is comprised of residential buildings in the form of single detached dwellings, as well as commercial uses along King Street East. The proposal seeks to create one new residential building lot with frontage onto Queen Street North for low-density residential uses. The minor variance is being processed as a result of a condition pertaining to a related consent application that was processed in 2023. Through the minor variance, relief is sought to address the proposed lot frontage of the lot to be severed, as well as deficient setbacks for the proposed dwellings. So the zoning bylaw requires a minimum lot area of 830 square meters, and the proposed lot areas are 813.3 square meters for the proposed retained lot and 748.40 square meters for the proposed severed lot. The proposed lot areas provide adequate building envelopes to meet coverage and minimum dwelling size requirements, with sufficient amenity space in the compliant rear yard. And with municipal servicing available, no additional space is needed for a septic system. And the proposed lot sizes remain consistent with surrounding lots, which start at around the smallest one within 50 meters was 720 square meters. With respect to the front yard setback, the proposed dwellings align visually from the road, with only the severed lot needing relief from the front yard setback due to a required road widening, while maintaining consistency and providing a larger rear yard as presented. And lastly, the retained lot abuts an unopened vegetated road allowance with no existing streetscape or nearby dwellings. And I confirm with Public Works that there are no plans to open that road allowance at this time. In terms of comments received after the writing of the report, the Building Division and the Development Engineering Division stated they had no concerns. Comments were also received from the owners of 87 King Street East, which is the property directly abutting to the east, and they shared concerns regarding neighborhood character and impacts on adjacent properties. And this was an email received, and we have printed this and shared this with our committee members here today. Overall, staff acknowledges application meets all 4 tests of a minor variance and respectfully recommends approval of the application subject to the conditions identified. Thank you.
All right, just a quick question, Mr. Shahid, have you discussed the matter with the, let's call it the complainant on this one?
I have not spoken to the complainant. I just communicated to them that their comments would be shared with committee members. That's pretty much all we do when we receive a letter from the public.
All right, questions of the planner? Mr. Finn?
Yes, first of all, I was wondering whether any consideration with regard to front yard setback, whether any considerations been given to moving the buildings back. I take it both of these are proposed dwellings?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, they are both proposed dwellings.
And could they not be moved back?
Through you, Mr. Chair, so the applicant had indicated, so really the only reason why the relief was needed is because the severed lot is going through that road widening, and the applicant indicated that they wanted that extra amenity space in that rear yard. So that's what they desired, and that is what is being brought forward here today, and I still deemed it appropriate and that it met the intention of the zoning bylaw.
Okay, and then one further question. With regard to the exterior side yard setback of the property to the north, it's 1.3 meters. I noticed the setback between the 2 buildings for each lot is 1.3 meters. Is there any concern about that?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So the interior side yard setback between the 2 buildings is compliant. So that's not an issue. The exterior side yard setback, yes, that does need relief. But I believe the intention is still met there, and it serves more as an interior side yard setback here as well, because it's an unopened road allowance, and there are no plans at this time to open that portion up. And there's thick edge of vegetation along that lot line. So I really wasn't too concerned about it.
So the 1.3 meters between the two buildings is not a concern?
Through you, Mr. Chair, so there's, the buildings are actually 2.6 meters apart because there's 1.3 meters on each side.
Okay, thank you.
Finn?
Thank you.
All right. Any further comments or questions with respect to the planner? TD Consulting is the applicant here. And for the record, your name, please.
Through you, Mr. Chair, my name is Vanessa Archer. I'm the applicant on the file, TD Consulting. In regards to the question about moving the dwelling back, I think that Mr. Shahid answered that pretty well. We are set 8.2 meters back to the road. It's just the road widening that the city has taken through the consent has made that a deficient yard on the other lot. We've kept the two dwellings in line and their garages in line with each other. If we shove one back, it's going to kind of look a little bit odd. And again, just to keep the rear amenity space a little bigger on the property is why we chose to go for the minor variance on that front yard. And I'm just here if there's any additional questions.
All right. I have a question for you. Have you discussed with Ms. Ellison the comments that she had with respect to the matter?
I have not. I did not get a copy of those.
I'm just curious, because this bothers me a little bit. We've got a neighbor that's taken the time to lay out what I would suggest is a fairly comprehensive response here, and yet we haven't spoken to her as planners, and we haven't spoken to her as the applicant that's doing the work. So I don't know, I just feel that we're missing something there. If they take the time, it seems to me, to make these comments, then we should be following up rather than just a short response to them. So anyway, I'll just leave that for what it is. Are there any questions of the applicant? Ms. Richardson.
Through you. And maybe it's just more of a statement, but it appears to me that lots 81 and 83 would equal the area of the subject property.
Question to the applicant or Mr. Shahid?
Whoever can answer it, I guess.
Who wants it? Mr. Shahid?
Through you, Mr. Chair, so you said lots 81 and 83 equal?
It appears that they must be the same size as the subject property. Like the two together would be the same size as that property, and therefore I don't understand the concerns with lot size.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I mean, like I said in the report, the proposed lot sizes do generally align with what is there in the neighborhood, and there are actually smaller lots that are zoned the same within 50 meters of the subject property, so.
Any further questions of the applicant or Mr. Shahid? All right, being none, thank you. All right. Is there anyone here online that wishes to speak in support of the application, in support of the application? Anyone here online wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Opposition to the application? Being none, committee, where are we? Ms. Richardson.
As recommended by staff.
Seconded by Ms. Archer. All right. Any further comments or questions with respect to the motion on the floor? Being none, all those in favor? And your application is approved. We're now dealing with file number D20-2025-069, and this is 465 Cheese Factory Road, Geographic Township of Watts, and we have summer student planner, Ms. Liu. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. The subject property is designated prime agricultural and environmental protection under the City of Kawartha Lakes official plan. It is zoned agricultural under the Township of Watts zoning bylaw 93-30. The property is located on the east edge of the geographic township of Ops in an area surrounded by agricultural and residential uses. The property currently contains a single detached dwelling constructed in 1905, according to Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, a barn, a hay storage, and 3 sheds that have access from the exterior side yard on Cheese Factory Road. The proposal is to construct a new primary dwelling and to recognize the existing dwelling as an additional residential unit, also known as ARU, to provide for additional living spaces. The property in the immediate vicinity of similar lot size have residential dwellings greater in size. A new, larger primary dwelling on this lot would maintain consistency with the established built form in the agricultural neighborhood. The proposed primary dwelling complies with all the provisions from Section 16.2 of the zoning bylaw. Relief is required for the existing dwelling that is to be converted into an ARU with the minimum exterior side yard setback. In order for the Building and Septic Division to facilitate the registration of a dwelling as an ARU, zoning compliance is required. Relief is required from Section 16.2 of the zoning bylaw, which requires a minimum exterior yard setback of 15 meters, as shown on the zoning zoomed-in sketch on the left. The existing exterior side yard setback for the dwelling that is to be converted as an ARU is 11.2 meters. Looking from the exterior side lot line on Cheese Factory Road, there are mature vegetation that provides a buffer between the location of the existing and the proposed structure to the road. The photo on the left shows the approximate location of the proposed dwelling from the exterior side lot line, shown in orange. And the photo on the right shows the location of the existing dwelling from the exterior side lot line. Both locations are well buffered by mature vegetation from the exterior side yard, which screens it from Cheese Factory Road. And given the low dense character and low traffic volume on Cheese Factory Road, impacts to traffic flow are not anticipated, and the existing setback from the lot does not impact sightlines. Further, the dwelling that is to be converted into an ARU that requires the relief has existed in this location since 1905 and has not resulted in any known impacts. And in terms of comments, no comments of concern were raised by any of the circulated agencies, and no comments were received from members of the public either. Based on the contents of the report, staff acknowledges the application meets all 4 tests of a minor variance and respectfully recommends approval of the application subject to the conditions identified within the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wu, and again, well done. Thank you. All right, are there any questions of the planner? Ms. Archer?
Please to the planner, I guess I don't understand the logistics of this, because why couldn't they just leave that house and build the new one and call it the ARU, and they wouldn't have had to go through this?
Through the chair, the new house will be a lot bigger in size, and which corresponds to the surrounding neighboring properties. And it will be for the owner's family's living purposes. Yes, through the chair, and in order for the ARU to be established, it needs to be the smaller one. So.
You're okay, Ms. Archer?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Any further questions of the planner? All right, being none. Is the applicant here or online? Does the applicant, oh, TD Consulting again. And for the record.
Vanessa Archer from TD Consulting.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, I am just here if there's any additional questions on this application.
Are there any questions of the planner, deputy? Looks like it's your easy day.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone here online wishing to speak in support of this application, in support of the application? Anyone here online wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Opposition to the application? I'm advised none. Committee? All right, Ms. Archer.
Printed.
All right. Do I have a seconder, Mr. Finn? Any further comments or questions with respect to the motion on the floor? Being none, all those in favor? And that carries. All right.
Through you, Mr. Chair, could I just thank the summer student planners today?
We always appreciate those kind of statements, always, yeah. We're now dealing with file number D20-2025-070, and this is 19 Pleasant Point Road, Geographic Township of Mariposa. Mr. Okawit, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. The subject property is situated in the geographic township of Mariposa near a waterfront community with access from Pleasant Point Road. The property currently contains a single detached dwelling, a detached garage, and a shed. Furthermore, there are no directly abutting structures from other properties. The proposal seeks to facilitate the construction of an additional residential unit, or ARU, in the front yard. Relief is required for the location of the structure. The subject property is zoned agricultural A1 under the Township of Mariposa zoning bylaw. The zoning bylaw requires that any accessory structure or building be placed in either the rear yard or the interior side yard. In this case, the proposed structure is located in the front yard. The reason the bylaw restricts accessory structures to the rear yard or side yard is to ensure that they remain secondary to the main building by being placed in a less visible area of the property. This placement also helps maintain open and usable space in the front yard while keeping the property consistent with the overall character of the neighborhood. The property has trees and vegetation that provide natural privacy and visual screening for the proposed structure. In addition, the proposed ARU is not located close to nearby buildings and will have a generous front yard setback of 30.1 meters. Overall, the ARU fits well with the existing built form and helps support a unified and compatible streetscape. Furthermore, through the construction of the ARU, this proposal can contribute to meeting the city's housing target through the addition of a new dwelling to the housing inventory. Comments were received after the writing of the report from the Building and Septic Division, as well as the Engineering Department, indicating that they have no concerns. Staff acknowledges the application meets all 4 tests of a minor variance and respectfully recommends approval of the application, subject to the conditions identified. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions of the planner? Being none. Is the applicant here, or is the applicant online?
Yes, I am.
Your name, sir?
Jeff Van Uden.
All right, please go ahead.
I have nothing to add. The planner did a good job. I have nothing to add, just here for questions.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions of the applicant? Appears no questions, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we continue on. Is there anyone here or online wishing to speak in support of the application? Anyone here or online wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Opposition to the application. Committee. Mr. Strangway.
As recommended by staff.
Do I have a seconder? Ms. Richardson. All right. Any further comments or questions with respect to the motion on the floor? Being none. All those in favor? And that carries. Your application is approved, sir.
Thank you.
All right. We're now dealing with file number D20-2025-071, and this is 3 South Harbor Drive, former village of Bob Cajun. Mr. Shahid, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The subject property situated in the former village of Bob Cajun near the intersection of Mill Street and Marina Drive. The subject property currently contains a 1-story detached dwelling with an attached garage, solarium, and rear deck. The proposal seeks to recognize the existing attached rear deck. The existing rear deck provides uncovered above-ground amenity space for the property owners. When looking at surrounding built form, it is evident that the existing structure is similar to what is existing in the area. Many of the neighboring properties have similar rear yard decks and sunrooms in terms of both dimensions and design. The existing rear deck is in line with the solarium, and the rear deck is located approximately 2.7 meters above grade, allowing amenity space to continue being used at grade. So as a through lot with roads at both ends, the property does not abut any rear residential yards, which minimizes any potential privacy impacts. And in terms of comments received after the writing of the report, the building division and the development engineering division stated they had no concerns. The Kawartha Conservation Authority stated that they are in support of the approval of the application and that a permit will be required. And all in all, staff acknowledges the application meets all 4 tests of a minor variance and respectfully recommends approval of the application subject to the conditions identified. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Questions of the planner? Mr. Strang?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Shahid, what brings this particular application to us? Did somebody file a complaint, or just what brings this forward?
Through you, Mr. Chair. I'm not fully aware of how the application came into us, but it is presented here today, and I don't think that really makes a difference as to what we're examining, how it came in today. It's being presented here, and we're looking at it now. Yeah.
And further, how long has this deck or solarium existed there?
So the dwelling and solarium was constructed, it looks like building permit was issued back in 2015. And this existing deck, so I don't have the exact date as when it was constructed. Based on our aerial imagery, it was constructed sometime late 2024.
So the deck and the solarium are new to the house?
The solarium and the house were constructed in 2015, and the deck is a newly constructed structure.
And is it correct that in the municipality, we need a permit to build a deck? Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Murchison, do you have any comments with respect to the questions asked by Mr. Strangway?
Through the chair, the only thing I can add is that a little caveat to that last comment, which is any deck that's greater than 2 feet above grade requires a building permit.
All right. Further questions? Yeah, Mr.
Just following up on that, the existing solarium has the same setback as the existing deck. And I take it the variance does not include the existing solarium, is that correct? The setback?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, that is correct. That with this variance, we are only looking at the existing deck, and a building permit was issued back in 2015 for that dwelling and solarium.
And did the solarium comply with the bylaw at that time?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no, it did not. Technically, a minor variance was needed.
So why is there not an application now for the existing solarium?
Through you, Mr. Chair, so the building permit was already issued for that structure.
Thank you.
Again, Ms. Murchison, do you have any follow-up on that? The questions from Mr. Finn.
Through the chair, I wasn't made aware of this one before the meeting, so I'd have to pull a file to look at it to know any further details. Sorry.
All right, thank you. Any further comments or questions to the planner? All right, being none, is the applicant here? The applicant wishes to speak to it? Oh, I'm told they are.
Yes, I am present.
And your name, please?
Rick Lamanna.
All right, go ahead, sir, if you wish to speak to it.
I have no further comments.
All right, are there any questions of the applicant? Mr. Strangway.
Rick, thanks for being here today. It's greatly appreciated. Just wondering, how did this come about that you were required to make an application for this when the deck was the same distance as the solarium? Can you shed any light on that for us?
It was very confusing to me because the solarium was part of the original build, but I was told that the deck was encroaching upon the variance.
And the deck, if I understand from Mr. Shahid, it's just been built recently, last year, it sounds like?
This year.
Okay. And were you told that you were required a minor variance, or how did you find out that you need to make this application?
I was told I required the minor variance.
Okay. Thanks for your comments there, Rick. Greatly appreciated.
But the question is, Mr. Sheeden, I'm back to you. He doesn't seem to know why he had to apply for this variance. So somebody must have said, you require a variance for the deck. So how did that occur?
To you, Mr. Chair. I mean, the deck needs a building permit, and it needs to comply with the zoning bylaw, and the existing house technically doesn't comply with their rear yard, so he needed to go through a minor variance, and now we're looking at something that was already constructed. So he's here today. I don't think going into the details of how he got here today really affects the decision we're making. We're basically just looking at the structure of how it is.
Well, I do think it's important because we're trying to get the history of this, and I agree totally with the comments that came from the committee. So it'd be nice to know just how it happened. And what? Go ahead.
Through the chair, apologies, I was looking up 8 instead of 3 the first time. So now I can see that we have an application pending for this new deck. So my staff have done the initial review when the application came in and have flagged that setback for this deck permit. That is what has driven this to your committee.
Thank you. That clears up the mud to a good degree. So it took a while, but we got there. All right. Sorry. Did you have a question, sir, or comments with respect to being the applicant?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone here online wishing to speak in support of this application, in support of the application? Anyone here online wishing to speak in opposition to this application, opposition to the application? Being none, committee, where are we? Ms. Richardson.
As recommended by staff.
All right, and do I have a seconder? Mr. Finn. Any further comments or questions with, yes, Mr.
Thanks. I guess I'm just a little perplexed. I have no problem with this application whatsoever. This reminds me of the applications, remember the north part of Lindsay, where they built the houses and everyone had to have an application for a deck, which was eventually, I understand, corrected. What I'm having trouble with here is that the house is built, the solarium's there, and it supposedly passed whatever required tests, and then the person goes to put a deck on, and now they're looking at a permit for a committee of adjustments, and if I understand correctly, Kawartha Conservation's looking for the permit. So I just find that a little, I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I find it hard to understand.
And I'm certainly not disagreeing with you. Director, did you?
All right, in support of yourself, Mr. Chair, and perhaps to aid in the discussion moving forward, I'll speak in the capacity as the director here, not as Secretary Treasurer. Okay, so one, I think, factor that the committee would be encouraged to keep in mind is that the solarium, or the house for that matter, don't need a permit at this point because a permit was issued. So period. We won't talk about the details of the permit. They're not relevant. But because a permit isn't needed, a variance would not address in perpetuity the reduced or the reduced setback or the relief that's otherwise needed for the deck, which does need a permit. So it would be, it would serve no valuable purpose, in other words, to recognize the existing encroachment. I hope that helps.
And I didn't mean to be short, but the committee could very well have decided here as a result of what was being said that maybe, well, if they didn't need a variance for the solarium, then we believe they don't need a variance for the deck, and we're going to deny or at least tell them that we don't need this variance. So that's kind of where we were, or at least where I was, and I'm sure, Mr. Strangway, that was your thoughts as well. So it was important to get a bit of the history, and thank you, Ms. Murchison. You shed a light on it there, so I do appreciate that. So, all right. Or are there any further comments or questions with respect to it? All those in favor? And that carries. And your application is approved, sir.
Thank you.
All right. We're now dealing with file number D20-2025-072, location 107 Woodworth Drive, Geographic Township of Summerhill. And again, Mr. Shaheed, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The subject property is situated on the shoreline of 4 Mile Lake with access from Woodworth Drive. The area is primarily characterized by single detached dwellings and assorted accessory structures, mainly for seasonal residential use, as I found according to the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation. The subject property currently contains a single detached dwelling and 3 sheds. The proposal seeks to facilitate the construction of a cabin. Additionally, one of the sheds is to be removed prior to the issuance of a building permit. So considering the seasonal nature of the area, the proposed cabin is typical and supports the reasonable use of the property. On seasonal properties, cabins are commonly used to increase habitable floor space and accommodate guests. The existing dwelling was constructed in 1964 and is 80 square meters in gross floor area. The owner has indicated that the cabin will provide extra habitable space for themselves and their family to enjoy, and the variance avoids overcrowding as it complies with the total permitted lot coverage and accessory structure lot coverage. And as the shed is being removed as part of the proposal, the total number of accessory structures is not being increased and complies with what the zoning bylaw requires. In terms of comments received after the writing of the report, the Building Division and the Development Engineering Division stated they had no concerns. The Supervisor of Part 8, Sewage Systems, requested a condition to be placed as they were not able to review the application in time. And we received comments from the public in support of this application from the property owners of 11 Corby Crescent. To conclude, and I have printed those comments and shared them with committee members today. To conclude, staff acknowledges the application meets all 4 tests of a minor variance and respectfully recommends approval of the application, subject to the conditions identified. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, ladies first. Ms. Asher.
Through you, please. Could you tell me, please, the definition of cabin as opposed to bunkie?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So the zoning bylaw doesn't differentiate between a cabin and a bunkie. The zoning bylaw just defines what a cabin is. I think it's just like an interchangeable term that people kind of use, but under the zoning bylaw, we just refer to it as a cabin.
What is allowed in a cabin then, please? Plumbing?
Through you, Mr. Chair, for sure, I can give you the exact definition right here. Through you, Mr. Chair, so a cabin is defined as a building, this is under the zoning bylaw, a building for sleeping containing no cooking or sanitary facilities and which is an accessory use to a dwelling unit.
Further questions? Oh, Mr. Strangway, go ahead.
Thanks. Just a follow-up from Ms. Archer. Could these individuals have applied for an ARU?
Through you, Mr. Chair, if they were to apply for an ARU, they would have had to come for minor variance because there would have been multiple reliefs needed because of the size of the lot, and there might have been other issues with the assumption of the road, ownership of the road, and since it has private servicing, so the lot area requirements are greater as well.
I thank you for that. I'm just thinking, if they had applied for an ARU, then they could have put cooking and other facilities in that same space, could they not have?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So the road actually is a private road, so because of that, they actually wouldn't be eligible for an ARU. Well, it's not an assumed road, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions of the planner? All right, being none, is the applicant here? Does the applicant wish, or online, does the applicant wish to speak to the application?
Hi, my name's Stuart Way. I don't have anything further to say. Everything's been handled great with the planning department helping me with my application. When I first was applying for this with the building department, yeah, they don't recognize the term bunkie, but that's what everyone in the neighborhood calls them. So it was a private cabin, and a private cabin with my property wasn't big enough for that, so I had to apply for the minor variance. But bunkie and private cabin, yeah, I was a little confused with that too when I was applying. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you taking the time. Are there any questions of the applicant? All right. Is there anyone here online wishing to speak in support of the application? In support of the application. Anyone here online wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Opposition to the application? Being none, and we're looking at an amended motion committee, so do I have an amended motion? Mr. Finn, all right. Do I have a seconder? Ms. Archer. Any further comments or questions with respect to the amended motion on the floor? Being none, all those in favor? And that carries. Your application is approved, sir.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
All right, we're now dealing with D20-2025-073, and this is 115 Fell Station Drive, Geographic Township of Somerville. Mr. Okawik, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. The property is situated along the Burnt River in a residential community with access from Fell Station Drive. The property currently contains a single detached dwelling built in 1987 and a detached garage built in 1988, according to the data from MPAC. The proposal is to facilitate the reconstruction of an attached deck. Relief is required to address the water setback. The subject property is zoned limited service residential floodplain zone under the Township of Somerville zoning bylaw. The zoning bylaw, which requires a 15-meter water setback, the proposed water setback is 8.54 meters. The purpose of a water setback is to create separation between main buildings and natural hazards, while also protecting and enhancing the ecological function of water bodies. This buffer zone allows vegetation to grow between development and the shoreline. In this case, the proposed deck maintains the same water setback as the existing house. Because of this, the encroachment is not expected to create any additional impacts. It's also important to note that the deck is simply replacing an existing one. Therefore, no new use is being introduced within the setback area. Comments were received after the writing of the report from the KRCA, Building and Septic Division, as well as the Engineering Department, indicating that they have no concerns. Staff acknowledges the application meets all 4 tests of a minor variance and respectfully recommends approval of the application subject to the conditions identified. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of the planner? Ms. Archer.
Through you, please. This is on the Burnt River.
Through the chair, yes, that's correct.
Usually when we get things on the Burnt River, they're very, very strict about you have to have piers and all these sorts of things for anything going close to the river, and this is quite a bit within the side or the front yard, I think, is it not?
Let's direct that to Ms. Murchison.
Through the chair, sorry, what specifically is my question?
Well, just because we're on the Burnt River, and usually when I hear that, I think of flood. And usually when we're on the Burnt River, we get all sorts of requirements that they have to be on piers and anything built has to be up because of the floodplain. And we don't have any of that here. I'm kind of confused.
So through the chair, there's only two means to have those requirements. One is through KRCA, if they're issuing a permit, or in this case, they may issue it through their comments through this process. They will dictate whether or not they are going to require piers, engineering on that foundation. The zoning bylaw also does address some of those aspects of construction, but outside of that, the building department itself does not impose any of those conditions. We just deal with whatever is given to us through other approvals.
If they required it would come from basically from the KRCA, and they said they're okay, so.
Through the chair, that's the one avenue, yes, and then the other avenue is the zoning bylaw, so where it tells us, you know, whether they need engineering or whether they need to be above a certain flood level, we have to adhere to that zoning bylaw section as well. But yes, it'll be incorporated into the designs for the building permit.
Thank you. Okay, so then through you, please, to the planner. We're okay with the zoning on this property?
Through the chair. Yes, so when there is that kind of provision that would require added steps, it would be more so towards habitable rooms, specifically with windows, but this is going to be an unenclosed deck, so it wouldn't really be considered as a habitable space, and it wouldn't apply for those provisions.
And thank you to both of you. Much appreciated. All right. Any further questions of the planner or Ms. Murchison? All right, being none, is the applicant here? Just like that.
Hello again.
Could we get your name again, sir, please?
It's Aditya Srinivas. I'm also the agent on this application. Again, just to reiterate what Mr. Rokawat stated, there's no new development being proposed as a part of this application. It's just reconstruction of an existing deck, and it is our opinion that this application meets the 4 tests for a minor variance. So yeah, I don't have anything else to add. Happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
Thank you. And are there any questions to the applicant, I should say? Being none, is there anyone here online wishing to speak in support of this application? In support of this application? Anyone here online wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Opposition to the application? Committee. Mr. Strangway.
Recommended by staff.
All right. Do I have a seconder? I'll go with Mr. Finn. I saw you first. So, all right. So seconded by Mr. Finn. Any further comments or questions with respect to the motion on the floor? All those in favor? And that carries. Your application is approved, sir.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
All right. We're now dealing with file number D20-2025-074, and this is 359 Burries Green Road, Geographic Township of Somerville. And again, Mr. Rokawat, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. The subject property located in the geographic township of Somerville with access from Burries Green Road and is surrounded by primarily agricultural land. The property's primary use is a farm, and the existing dwelling was built in 1875. The proposed development is to construct a new primary dwelling, convert the existing dwelling into an additional residential unit, and to construct a new detached garage. The existing buildings and structures are situated more inland of the property, while the proposed new dwelling and garage will be located closer to the road and to the southwest corner of the property. As a result, the two dwellings would be positioned a significant distance apart. Relief is required for the maximum lot coverage and maximum height for accessory structures. The subject property is zoned rural general under the Township of Somerville zoning bylaw. The zoning bylaw permits a maximum lot coverage of 8% of the lot area or 225 square meters for accessory structures. In this case, the proposal is for 235.34 square meters of lot coverage. The purpose of this provision is to make sure accessory structures remain secondary to the main use of the property and to preserve adequate open space. Here, the proposed increase is very minor and does not affect the use or character of the development of the property. A large portion of the lot will remain as open space, which helps maintain existing vegetation and supports the overall natural character of the site. The zoning bylaw also permits a maximum height of 5 meters for accessory structures to residential use. The proposed detached garage is 5.5 meters in height. The purpose of this provision is to control the vertical scale of accessory structures, ensuring they fit within the area's visual character and do not overshadow neighboring properties. In this case, the garage is located behind the proposed dwelling and set away from nearby properties. Because of this, it is consistent with the established character of the area. It is also worth noting that the subject property and the surrounding lands are primarily zoned agricultural, where structures taller than 5 meters are common. For these reasons, the proposal is not considered out of character with the surrounding area. Comments were received after the writing of the report from the Building and Septic Division, as well as the Engineering Department, indicating that they have no concerns. Staff acknowledges the application meets all 4 tests of a minor variance and respectfully recommends approval of the application subject to the conditions identified. Thank you.
Thank you. These ARUs are becoming somewhat popular. The planner. Being none. Oh.
Through you, do they have a septic permit?
Through the chair, I believe Septic commented saying that they don't have any concerns, but I can get the exact wording if you just give me one moment. Through the chair, the exact wording that was provided by the Septic Division was a site visit had been completed to review the location for the new primary dwelling. The area was evaluated for the installation of a Class 4 sewage system as per the requirements of the Ontario Building Code. It was determined that there are no restrictions in the vicinity of the proposed location, and there's a sufficient space for a private sewage system. Additionally, the construction of a new primary dwelling will not impact the ability to service the existing dwelling with a replacement sewage system as needed. As such, the Building and Septic Division do not have any concerns with the minor variance proposal as it relates to private on-site sewage disposal.
Thank you for that. Yes, Ms. Richardson, follow up?
A different question. On Appendix A, it appears that this property is actually 3 separate lots. Have they been merged together?
Through the chair, so on Appendix A, you can see that the pins, I can bring it up right here. So all 3 lots are the same lots under one pin, but the 3 lots have 3 different ARNs or roll numbers, which relates to tax assessment. And that's usually how we identify these properties, but it's under one pin, so it's technically under one entire property.
I can see another question there.
Well, if it's 3 separate roll numbers, is the ARU built on one lot and the other house on the other lot so that they each get their own separate tax bills?
Through the chair, yeah, great question. It is built on the same ARN, so the furthest to the right, if you can see. That's where the existing dwelling is, and that's where the proposed dwelling is. So the tax would be assessed on that one single property.
Mr. Strangway, I saw your hand there.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, just a quick question. You had said in your comments it would be converted to an ARU. is that simply a name only? There's nothing else required, it's now an ARU?
Through the chair, that's essentially what's happening. Because the primary dwelling that was built in 1875 would become smaller than the new dwelling that is being constructed, it would be it wouldn't comply with the existing provisions of the bylaw. So in that case, it would have to be converted into an ARU by name, and then lot coverage also has to be played into effect as well, which is where the minor variance is coming from.
Thank you.
Further questions? Did I see? Yeah, Ms. Archer.
Further to Mr. Strangway's question then through you, is there paperwork that has to be completed to officially make it an ARU, or is it just automatic?
Through the chair, yes, registration would be completed through the building division.
All right, anything further of the planner? Yes, Ms. Richardson, go ahead.
Just to follow up my previous question, so then if everything is built on lot 12, does that mean that these people could then get a building permit for the other 2 lots as their different roll numbers?
Through the chair, it would seem that they have merged on title, so it would be one singular lot still.
Anything further of the planner? All right. Is the applicant here or online?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, your name, please.
My name's Catherine Donardis.
All right, please go ahead.
I don't have anything to add. I am just here if you have any questions. The owners of the property are also in chambers today if you have any questions directed to them directly.
Your planner said she doesn't have anything further. Do you wish to add anything to the application? No? All right. Are there any questions of the deputant or of the applicant? Ms. Archer.
Came all this way, I have to ask a question. Through you, are both of these properties serviced with driveways already?
Ask the planner or the deputant to speak to that first.
No, the existing dwelling has its driveway. The other driveway will be applied for through the ARU application and building permit.
Do you wish to add anything to that? No? All right. Anything further of the deputant or of the applicant? They're here. All right, being none. Is there anyone here online wishing to speak in support of this application? In support of the application? Anyone here online wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Opposition to the application? Being none, committee. Mr. Strangway.
As recommended by staff.
Seconded by Mr. Finn. Any further comments or questions with respect to the motion on the floor? All those in favor? That carries. Your application is approved.
Thank you.
All right, we'll roll this over. All right, we're now dealing with file number D20-2025-075. And this is 8 Delamere Island, Geographic Township of Somerville. And Mr. Shaheed, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm going to do my presentation here, and the applicant has prepared their own presentation as well, which they can present afterwards. So the subject property is located on Delamere Island in the former township of Somerville. The lot is accessible only by water. The subject property is zoned limited service residential exception 1 zone, or the LSR 1 zone, under the Township of Somerville zoning bylaw. So the 2 existing boathouses extend beyond the shoreline and are in poor condition, with one largely being submerged, as you can see on the left photo on the slide. The boathouses have existed on the property since the 1950s. And the purpose of this application is to facilitate the demolition of these 2 existing boathouses and the construction of a new boathouse. So the proposed boathouse extends beyond the shoreline as well, is in the water body, which is within the environmental protection zone. The Environmental Protection Zone permits various uses, but does not permit a boathouse. So the existing boathouses have a combined floor area of approximately 51 square meters and a height of 4.57 meters, while the proposed boathouse will measure 69 square meters with a height of 4.49 meters. So the location of the proposed boathouse will remain compliant with the zoning bylaws permitted setbacks, distance from the main dwelling, and height requirements. As a result, the continuation and minor enlargement of the boathouse beyond what exists today is not anticipated to impact the abutting neighboring properties. Also, while the proposed boathouse is larger than what exists on the property today, the proposal will reduce the number of boathouses from 2 to 1, resulting in an overall decrease in number of structures and contributing to a less built-up island shoreline. The Kawartha Conservation Authority has already issued a permit for the proposed work, which address the matters related to development within shorelines and watercourses. And the applicant and property owner have also received permits from the Trent Severn Waterway Team, or TSW. In terms of comments received after the writing of the report, the Building Division and the Development Engineering Division stated they had no concerns. The Kawartha Conservation Authority stated they are in support of the approval of the application and that a permit has already been issued. Parks Canada, Trent Severn Waterway was circulated and they sent in their comments today, and they said they have no objection to the proposal and that a permit has already been issued. All in all, staff acknowledges the application meets all 4 tests of a minor variance and respectfully recommends approval of the application subject to the conditions identified. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of the planner? Mr. Strangway.
Mr. Shahid, I'm glad to hear all the permits are in place. It's very unusual on Balsam Lake to see a new boathouse constructed out over the water. Is that something that is being encouraged, or what is the reason for that when the vast majority I see are on the land?
Through you, Mr. Chair, so I won't say that it's something that is being encouraged. It is something that is permitted under the zoning bylaw. So the zoning bylaw actually has, there are some cases where it's not permitted on certain lakes. For example, on 4 Mile Lake, it can't extend beyond the shoreline. On Balsam Lake, you can have a boathouse that goes beyond the shoreline. And you can have it as long as it doesn't interrupt any of the neighboring lots with their access. And even when we're looking at aerial imagery of this island, it looks like a lot of the neighboring lots also have boathouses that extend beyond their shoreline.
Is there a recommended foundation for these boathouses?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's not really something I would look at as part of the minor variance. That may be something the Building Division looks at, or Conservation Authority, or Trent Severn Waterway, but that's not really something I would be looking at.
Thank you.
Anything further of the planner? Mr. Richardson, did I see you? No? I'm just curious. Now, the new boathouse you're building is going to be pretty well on the same footprint as the other 2 were?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So let me actually pull up the image. So the new boathouse is not on the same footprint. It's located in a separate location, but still on the shoreline. So you can, if you refer to the image to the right, the existing boathouses are on the right side, whereas the new location is on the left. So it's not in the exact same location, no.
And that's still in EP zone?
Yeah. It's because the water is entirely within the environmental protection zone.
All right, so no way we could have improved upon the location. The question I'm asking is this: the previous 2 were legal non-conforming, so you would hope that when they're going to totally take down those 2, that maybe we could come up with something that was more conforming, but that's not given the zoning, the EP zoning there?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yeah, if any boathouse that essentially would extend beyond their shoreline would be within the EP zone, so it wouldn't be possible to build something complying while also extending beyond the shoreline.
All right, thank you. Further questions of the planner? Being none, is the applicant here? Oh, already. We'll let you find that button first.
Okay, I have it. Hi, I'm Joan Phillips, agent for the owners. Thank you very much. I did have a presentation prepared, but I do believe that Mr. Shahid has basically provided all the pictures. That's what I mostly wanted, because I assumed that you probably weren't able to visit, being an island property. There is about 215 feet of frontage on the property. And we also did a DFO application to Department Fisheries and Oceans, just addressing the foundation. I think that was your question. And they did not have any concerns about the preferred method with the foundation. And the existing boathouses, as you see there, will be demolished, deconstructed, and then removed. The debris will be moved via barge. But the actual cribs in the water will not be deconstructed because it's considered fish habitat.
All right, thank you. Anything further?
I just wanted to thank the Planning Committee, particularly Mr. Shahid and Ms. Evans. Thank you so much for your support.
Our planners do an excellent job, and we always appreciate your comments coming this way, so thank you for that. Mr. Strangway.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming today, Joan. Just further on the foundation, is it an actual foundation, or is it just pillars that go in the water to allow the water flow and
Yes.
fish habitat?
Yes, they typically, the maximum is 15 square meters that you can put in. So these would be steel pillars, would be far less than the 15 square meters. So it's actually the preferred method for boathouse construction under the high water mark.
Thank you very much, Joan.
You're welcome.
Anything further of the applicant? All right, being none, thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone here online wishing to speak in support of the application? In support of the application? Anyone here online wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Opposition to the application? There being none. Committee, where are we? Ms. Richardson?
Recommended by staff.
And second by Ms. Archer? All right. Any further comments or questions with respect to the motion on the floor? All those in favor? And that carries. Your application is approved.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Well, that brings a fairly busy day to a grinding halt. Any comments under new business from staff? Director.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Perhaps not new business. It was for the past few months, but it's coming to a close. Just to recognize our summer students who've just been a wonderful addition to the planning division this summer. So thank you both for your dedication and for living in Lindsay this past summer. That was a great stroke of luck, I think, to have you be local. And to the committee for accommodating a hospitable climate for our student planners to sort of roll the dice and take a chance on a day in the life of a committee of adjustment planner. So we wish you all the best in your continuation of your school adventures at Waterloo and York. Our chair was interested on your institutions. So all the best, and don't forget about us. Keep your eyes on what's happening, and we'd love to see you back.
After all is said and done, I can't wait to see you both back here as full-time planners. It's going to be great. Though I
Well
always
said.
have
Thank you,
vacancies,
yeah.
so there's no problem that way. Anything further from staff? Committee, Mr. Strangway.
I meant to ask the question, and I forgot. The OMIMI application, is it all right if I go back and ask one question on that? Okay, the OMIMI application, I didn't see where we sometimes see something in lieu of parkland as far as funding. What determines that and what doesn't determine that?
Sure, through the chair, although I'm sure any of our staff can take it, but you're looking at me, Member Strangway, so let me go ahead with that one. The condition to collect cash in lieu of parkland is associated with the consent application. So the municipality is authorized to collect that particular fee only on certain types of applications. And in this case, it's not the variance, it's the companion consent. So when the committee sees consent applications, on occasion, they are partnered with variances and you see them together, you'd commonly see the cash in lieu of parkland condition through the consent conditions that are usually part of the same report. So that said, that is authorized both under the Planning Act and through the city's official plan, and there's a formula on how to land on the cash in lieu value, and it is only applied in certain circumstances. So not every consent, for example, is eligible for the collection of cash in lieu of parkland, but in the case of adding a new lot to the overall inventory of lotting in the municipality, that's a green light for collection. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's great, thanks.
Anything further from committee? Just a couple of comments I'm going to make, and maybe just referring back to the questions that Mr. Strangway had on that other application. And I'm sure sometimes staff thinks, well, why are they asking that question? Because it really doesn't apply. And I'm not disagreeing with you, but sometimes something just gnaws at us when you get the application. You think, I want an answer for this. I just do. And I think, especially with the one, Mr. Shahid, of yours, with the variance on the deck, it was a case of, well, if they didn't have to get a variance for the solarium, then maybe we should be saying, you know what, you don't need a variance for the deck either. So let's say, no, you don't need a variance for the deck. Do we have that kind of authority, Director? Because that's kind of, I think you were going there, and that's what I was thinking that as well. So.
Sure, Mr. Chair, thanks for the question. So absolutely, you can deny a minor variance. That is within the committee's right, and if the owner and applicant decided not to challenge that decision through an Ontario tribunal, land tribunal process, then ultimately they would not be eligible for a building permit at the end of the day. So deny the variance, no building permit, no deck. That's sort of the short answer to your question. If it maybe helps, I'll just circle back to some of the comments that I had made previously on the 2015 matter, the existing house and solarium, and I'd made the comment about no added value per se. There was a time when the committee, years and years ago, was on occasion given an opportunity to quote unquote clean up a lot and address any and all deficiencies that were presented to them, whether or not they were noted in the application by the applicant. So this really wasn't a helpful process, I'm going to say, to all parties involved, not to the committee, not to staff, not even to the owner, if you can imagine. And the reason for that is ultimately there's a sunset period, right, on committee decisions. They're only good for a certain number of years, typically 24 months, as you're aware. And one of the ways to think about this is most often when an applicant is looking to get a building permit and they need that permit to get from point A to point B, they're looking to, let's just say, put an addition on their house, and they can't do that without a building permit, and the building permit can't be issued without zoning compliance. So they apply for the variance. That variance, if approved, is their green light or their path to a solution obtaining the building permit. Construction is completed, life goes on. Forever after, the addition that was legally built with the building permit continues to be legal. But if the relief that the variance gave it, for example, was for a reduced yard setback, that yard setback forever after will always be non-complying. It's legal, but it's non-complying. So that, I hope, just distinguishes the matter about the cleaning up of issues, especially in the case where they don't need a building permit, does not serve a benefit long-term for anyone. Okay.
I think as a committee, and I mentioned it myself before, and I think you spoke to this as well, Director, that as far as enforcement issues are concerned, that isn't part of the mandate of this committee, and I don't have any particular problems with that. But if there are questions such as, and I think that they were excellent questions, because that was gnawing at me a bit too, is where did this come from, and why, if there was, they didn't require one for the solarium, why all of a sudden are they requiring one for the deck? So that's kind of, but you would have, as the director has indicated, if we had said, it's not a case really of denying it. If we had said, well, they didn't need to apply in the first place, so we're not going to recognize that, and they can have their money back. But you would have said, when that came before you, you need a variance, and I'm not going to issue a building permit for that deck?
So, through the chair, it's going to be a case by case where we look at it. So in that scenario you've just painted, if the committee chose to say that that proposed deck did not need a variance, it's still not zoning compliant. So we would still need somebody, maybe the form being the director, to put in writing for the building department, for their building permit file, that there was a pass through the zoning bylaw. Because applicable law to the Building Code Act is compliance with the zoning bylaw.
Yeah.
So I can't make it go away. So if you didn't pass a minor variance and I can't make it go away, somebody else has to in a different path. So it could be that there's an interpretation made at the manager director level in the planning department to say that this doesn't warrant a variance, but that's not something that we can do at the building permit stage.
Yeah. Well, we're certainly not going to put you in that position.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time, and the chief is quite right. I mean, that is a path, and interpretation is another path. A different Planning Act application, if that's warranted, is another path. So these are, all angles that are looked at. We would also hope that we would have the conversation with the committee around the nature of why there was a sense that an application was before them that in their opinion didn't need to be before them. I mean, that would be part of the conversation as well.
Yeah, no, that director, that's exactly where I was going. So, yes, Senator, go ahead.
So if the committee had said that you don't need a minor variance, would the homeowners then be given a demolition or notice that they need to demolish that deck? Because it was built without a building permit?
So through the chair, that would be one option. I mean, bottom line is if we've started enforcement for build without a permit, we have to follow through to a resolution. So every time we start a enforcement file, there's always one of our options is removal of the structure. So most people don't want to remove the structure if they really intended to have it for a reason. So that's always usually a last resort for the customer, but that's always, when we issue an order, it says do this, or remove the structure. So that is always an option to remove it. The other piece to that one is, this one hadn't been flagged to me, so I'm going to review that original building permit file to see if there's any clues in there as to why we ended up where we are. Because maybe there is something there. Maybe it was a previous planning decision at a director level or something. We don't know without seeing the facts in that other file. So, I'm certainly going to do that as a takeaway here, is to go back and look at the file and see if there's any clue as to why we ended up with a solarium in a setback.
Because it was the same setback exactly, I believe, for the solarium and the deck. So, yeah.
It could be a poor site plan provided by the applicant at the time that shows it's in compliance. And we don't question people on their application because they sign an application that has a disclaimer that says everything that is attached to this file is true to the best of my knowledge. So unless there is some real big red flag, there's no reason for us to doubt every person that applies for a building permit and think that they're going to send us incorrect information. So there's times like this where they come up and we review them again and realize that, yeah, the application came in with an application drawing that said it was in compliance with zoning, but it turns out years later you do a measurement and you find out it's not.
Yeah, I know we deal with a lot of legal non-conforming. In fact, it's pretty common practice here. Sometimes I wonder myself, well, if it's legal non-conforming and we have an opportunity to make it better, why don't we? But 9 times out of 10, we don't have the staff don't have an option. It's, they go along with whatever predated the zoning bylaw. So, but yeah, it's clear as mud sometimes, it really is. Anything further from committee on that? The only other thing I have is this, and I asked a question about this, and it has to do with, and I don't know, maybe Director, I'll ask you if it's policy. When we get, the comments we had there today, and I'm certainly not critical of Mr. Shaheed, that's what we do now, but we had a fairly comprehensive statement there from a neighbor about why they thought it was not okay. And and again, I'm just curious as to, it seems to me, and that's why I asked the deputy as well, would it not just be reasonable to get back to that person and maybe just help clarify some of those things by saying, you know what, yes, it's a concern, but however, the zoning bylaw, blah, 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 blah. We don't do that now, or I'm just curious.
Yeah, thanks for the question. And it's, great for the opportunity to sort of describe the process. And very often, there are pretty substantial conversations that happen between staff in not just the planning division, but also in the building and septic division when working through a variance application. And there are questions asked and there are questions answered, sometimes by email communication, sometimes in person, sometimes over the phone, right? All those different ways of communicating out answers. In cases where the nature of the concerns raised are addressed in the staff report, for example, where the planner has determined that those maybe concerns that are raised are able to be mitigated through the evaluation, there isn't always that direct follow-up, although there is an invitation, obviously, to participate in the process, to attend the meeting if they're available by Zoom, in person. And then, you know, another opportunity for us to revisit offering the link to the staff report ahead of the meeting so that some of those matters can also be reviewed. And maybe that would then help the neighbor, you know, decide if they wanted to participate further or not. And in this case, I understand it was or not.
Yeah, I spent 10 years on council, and it just closes the loop, and to get back to some people, because if they have a question, and you can get back to them and say, yes, it's a concern, there's no question about it, but we are dealing with it this way, blah blah blah. Most times, people are just the fact that they got a call, and they're happy, and off they go, because not all of them come in here, as we all know. But I was just curious about that, and yeah, all right. Anything? So where are we here? Nothing further, then I guess adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Ms. Richardson, seconded by Mr. Finn. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you. Thank you to everyone.